All right, welcome everyone. I'm Wes Warren. I'm here with Greg Stanley, and today we're going to talk about outsmarting your competitors, things that you can do, even sneaky, downright sneaky things you could do to outsmart your competitors and really take market share. When we say market share, we coach people that literally are in the same building, same area, and we see that when one practice starts to get things rolling, they literally suck the life out of the other practice. It's an unfortunate thing, but it is fortunate for the patients. In other words, patients are getting something from that practice that they're not able to get at their other practice. That's why they leave. And so we're going to talk about these sneaky things. Greg, how often have you seen this? I know we talk about this from time to time about having competing offices, and you'll see that literally you'll have somebody call one office and bounce right off that front desk and call the other office, same patient. And we'll literally see that happen as we
All
coach
the
people.
time.
Yeah,
And it's sad because there's this point of dignity that we try to cling to in dentistry. If we all cling to it together, we don't have to descend to the depths of making patients really happy. We can make ourselves really happy. So when you say sneaky strategies, they're only sneaky in that most people just simply won't do them. There's nothing
right.
wrong with them. Patients love them. They make money. In fact, they supercharge, hypercharge practices. People trying to drive an associate office definitely need these. Now, we're going to go through some of these. And like I said, if you have an associate, you're probably going to have to dip pretty deep into this list, okay? Let's start with the first one. It's going where a lot of people don't think to go, and that is hiring customer-friendly staff. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a no-brainer. Everybody would do that, but they don't. Their priority is dental-friendly staff. I want people that know how to answer a phone. I want people who know in a dental office. I want people who know how to sell dentistry. Yeah, I get that. And eventually, you know, you have to face
Well,
the fact that these people are bounced around from office to office for a higher payroll. They'll go from one paycheck to a higher paycheck, and eventually they're not terribly engaged. They're kind of burned out, withdrawn. They've seen it all. They're almost tired of dentistry, and the thought of really reaching out to and warming up to patients is almost out of reach for them. So when we bring somebody in, let me give an example. We had somebody come from another industry. See, in the retail world, if we're not super customer friendly, you simply don't survive. In the medical world, you can treat people like dirt and you kind of make it because you're the only game in town. In dentistry, it's not quite that bad. But we reach out to people with customer service experience, and we literally catch another gear in getting referrals and getting patient satisfaction.
we hire in dentistry for experience. That's our number one thing that we look for. And what you're saying is to turn the table. In other words, get ahead enough in hiring where you're not so short staffed that you are literally the tyranny of expediency, meaning I need somebody now that's trained now. I can't wait 6 weeks or 8 weeks till somebody gets trained up. I need somebody with great experience that already knows what they're doing, knows my software even, and can just come in here and just start working. And what you're saying is, if you get ahead of the curve enough and you use what we've talked about in the past, Whitehall's bullpen method, this is where you actually have one more staff person you actually need. And you start bringing in people where the number one criteria is customer service, that they have that down. That's who they are.
We've seen this before. In fact, some of them are literally overachievers in this field. We brought in a person to lead an office. She had been in charge of a retail office in the optical world, selling glasses, and
Mhm.
she came in and everybody was all set to send her out of the sky in flames. Everybody was going to stonewall her. Nobody was going to help her. And she rolled up her sleeves, went in, uh, stood behind people chair side, listened on the phone. I mean, she learned dentistry. And she was probably our number one person. And it took her less than 4 months, if that tells you. And she was so incredible. You talk about a dirty little secret. Wow, she was the secret. People touched that office. They had never been treated that way in dentistry. I can actually see us going backwards if we're not careful and hiring somebody from the medical profession where they see people in a whole
Oh,
different light.
that's what we tend to do. So when we usually go outside of dentistry, we're actually looking for another medical person. What we tend to do, somebody's a
Yeah,
little
they know
bit
about
familiar with it.
insurance.
Right, familiar with insurance, familiar with patient care, and that's what we tend to look for. So what Greg is saying here is hire for personality, look for somebody that has super customer service background.
And drive to learn. Okay, so that you do that, and I gotta warn you, it's gonna upset your team, but in a good way in the long run. Okay, let's go on to number two, sneaky trick number two. And the people I have who have accomplished this, Wes, head and shoulders above everybody, taking a knowledgeable loss on hygiene to flood the practice with great patience. In other words, the old trick in dentistry is when hygiene charges you more money, well, we've already raised our prices in hygiene, not much we can do there, but maybe we can sell products. We'll sell everybody a rinse or a deep cleaning, or we'll sell a bunch of stuff. People that can absorb that loss, it's a sneaky trick. They, in their mind keeps wanting to say, these people need to pay for this. This is great hygiene. Yeah, it is. But when you can give people, see, hygiene is, if you're not careful, it's a repetitive motion injury to your practice. Patients come in over and over, and if they have to wait, if the person's not absolutely thrilled to see them, et cetera, it weighs on them very quickly. I know when I go in a place to get something done, I go places where, well, actually I don't go, because I know they're gonna try to sell me an extended warranty, or they're gonna sell every single time. So making hygiene a dream experience at any cost is a supercharge for your practice. So there's two sneaky tricks. And when you show people these things, they will naturally, like holding a cat over a tub of water, they're going to claw and scratch to try to stay out of that water.
So can I give an example of what that means, what that would look like? Now, this is an extreme example, but this is an example. We had an office in Florida that was struggling. This was back in 08, just after 08, really struggling. And they kind of heard this message that fill hygiene and it fills the restorative side. Meaning, don't worry about trying to make a profit in hygiene. Just get a bunch of people over there, and the restorative side will follow. They took that message and they decided to do a $99 exam, x-ray, and cleanings for the year. So obviously the x-rays were every other, so just one set of x-rays a year for $99. Means $50 every time they came in, meaning they're losing money on that experience. They filled up the practice so full, so many hygienists seeing so many patients that the doctors were doing 350,000 a month, like within 8 months. They went from like 70-80,000 a month to 350, like that, using this concept of make hygiene a great thing, make it as affordable as you can, and it will fill up by natural demand.
Somebody will always interrupt you and say, patients will pay for that. Patients will pay more for that. And though they will, it doesn't really ignite them to perceive great customer service. They're not on your team, even though, yeah, you can get them to pay, but that's, yeah.
The other thing it does is it keeps people. The retention rates in practices that have hygiene, at the 50th percentile, and then their restorative fees are maybe at the 80th percentile, 85th percentile, where they push the envelope in the price percentile in their restorative fees, and their hygiene fees are extremely competitive. That's what we're talking about.
And Wes, when you're presenting that dentistry, not the hygiene, but the dentistry, you're dealing with a warmed up, happy person who is very enamored by your office. So, if you're going to go the whole distance, you need a hygienist with a great personality, and you need all of that. So, knowledgeably making hygiene your marketing program, if I could call it that,
Yeah, right.
puts you head and shoulders above everybody in your community. All right, let's go on to number 3. The first time I saw this, I wondered why more people didn't do it, but they don't. It's another one people scratch and claw to avoid. It's the call today, get in today message. I have offices who they manage to stay out of insurance. They manage to break a lot of the rules because they have a call today, get in today message. And when they can actually deliver that, the word spreads like wildfire. And by the way, Wes, we're talking about these 5 secret sauce messages here. You get these first 3 right, your practice will pick up speed. You start to wonder where it ends. You'll be looking for an associate. So call today, get in today. And you got to figure out how to do that. Now, sometimes to accommodate that, you might inconvenience somebody who did schedule a month ago. And they need to be compensated for that with a Starbucks card, or like Roy Smith used to give a Olive Garden $15 gift card if people were inconvenienced, trying to keep people on his side while he wedged people in. Now, I have doctors who say, you don't have to do that. I do this, I do that. And you look at their area, there's not a dentist for 50 miles. They're breaking all the rules because they have no competition.
No competition, yeah.
But the more competition you have, the deeper you'll want to reach into this list we're giving you. Okay, so we got 3. Hire the customer-friendly staff where they have a background in customer service, knowledgeable loss on hygiene if necessary, call today, get in today. All right, next, using discounts to easily fill future openings through email. We have offices that were hit so hard by the downturn of 2008, 2009, they shouldn't even still been in business. They were crushed. But I wish we had been able to share something with them that would have saved them, but they had to save themselves. But we learned what to do. They sent out time-based messages on email. First of all, to people with pre-diagnosed dentistry, where something had been recommended. And they told them, we got an opening next Tuesday. We don't want it to be left open. If you want to come in, we'll knock 20% off. We'll discount. And these are offices, the best month ever might have been 150,000. They were doing 350, 400,000. And you say, well, what does that lead to? Well, do you want to do this dentistry or not? Yeah, if that uses up that file cabinet you have full of dentistry that you're probably never going to see.
Yeah, this is a great thing because now you can really segment out the people you want to send this message to. So right now you have the ability to text this message out and text it on a limited basis. I want to text it out. Let's find 15 or 20 people or 30 people. Let's fill the schedule. What you want to try to make sure you're doing is that you have 0 idle time, that every appointment slot is filled, even though it might come at a discount. There's nothing more expensive than having an empty chair. Nothing. The operation cost of a dental office is at well over $500 an hour for that chair to be empty. And so getting something in that chair for a 20% discount for that hour is well worth it. So I want you to be thinking about making sure that every chair is full all the time, that there's no idle time in the office, and that if you have it, it is worth it to do a little discount to fill that spot. Absolutely.
And you can pick and choose who you want to do this.
Right.
If it's one that's really been reluctant, if it's a big case that's sitting out there just waiting, the less urgency there is driving the person, the more you need this discount.
That's right.
Okay, let's go to number 5. This is another technique I've seen used in extremely bad economies. It actually has been proven to also work in overcompeted areas where there's just dentists piled on to dentists. It's celebrating small treatment. In other words, as opposed to taking small treatment and trying to schedule it out far enough that hopefully the patient will forget to come in, they actually thrive on it. Typically, it takes a practice that has a lot of operatories. The doctor can move very quickly. They can delegate a lot of things to their staff. In other words, everything is set up for this. We have doctors who can produce upwards of $3,000 per hour, which is almost 3 times the norm, all on small cases, because they've embraced what everybody else turns their back on. So there's nobody to do this. And, outside of dentistry, my own family, my wife's never able to find somebody to come out and fix something because they want to sell you a whole new something, and air conditioners or a whole new roof, or you can't get the roof patched anymore.
Yeah.
That's only $300 or $400. They want you to spend $15,000. And so as you go about this is literally an unaddressed market. It's there for the taking if you want it. And so again, sneaky, but absolutely viable.
And you become a magnet in the area. It goes out that, that you're not about the money, that, this whole thing that happens, that patients do talk, and we'll see offices that embrace this. You're the talk of the town. You got to go to my doctor, and you get referrals like you've never had before. When you dial it back a little bit and say, hey, let's get started right here. And don't be afraid.
Some of these work very quickly. In other words, if you look down this list, there's some of these you can get into play and get the fire started very quickly. Now, there's some others that are also that fall into this category. I'm going to cap it at these 5, if you don't mind, because it's more than enough to get a practice that's in the doldrums up and going at full speed, keeping that doctor fully engaged and possibly 1 or 2 associates in the same position. So yeah, sneaky, but effective.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.